Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To all viewers who are watching this video, thank you for being here and thank you for this great opportunity given to me today. First of all, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious and the most merciful, because of his bless and grace. This video for the final assignments on Discourse Analysis course can be finished on time. Alhamdulillah. Salawat and salam we also send to our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has brought us from the darkness era into the lightness era like today. I also like to express my deepest gratitude to Sir Dr. Andi Kaharuddin, S.Ip, M.Hum, as the lecturer on Discourse Analysis course for all his guidance and support to complete this final assignment. So everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Andi Sakiah. I'm the 5th semester student of English and Literature Department from Adab and Humanity Faculty, AG.3, UN Alauddin Makassar, batch 2019. So the purpose of making this video is a requirement to fulfill the final task assignment for a discourse analysis course, and it also to gain a better understanding about discourse analysis. So in this video, everyone, we're gonna discuss several topics related to discourse analysis, which has been divided into 10 questions, questions A and questions until questions G, like you all can see right here. Okay, everyone. So without any further ado, let's us discuss these questions from questions A until questions G. Well, everyone, when we started to learn something new, whether it's new skills or new materials that we get from our college or anywhere, it is very important to get to know the definitions of the material in the course that we are learning, so that in discourse analysis, by having said that, by understanding the definitions of discourse analysis, it can be at least a stepping stone for us in learning and understanding it. So everyone, the word discourse derives from a Greek word which is discoursus, means conversations or speech. As found in Cambridge Online Dictionary, the term discourse refers to as a communications in speech and writing. Meanwhile, discourse analysis, or also known as discourse study, is the study of the way a language is used between people, whether in both in written context and spoken context. So when we are talking about discourse analysis, we are not only going to learn about a language form, but we are also going to learn a language functions, the way it is used by its native speakers in their social lives. That's why, according to Deborah Tennant in 2014, she argues that discourse analysis or discourse study is sometimes called the analysis of language beyond sentence, because in discourse analysis we are not only going to study about linguistic features, grammar, clause, and sentences, but the field of discourse analysis is broader and more complex than it. Okay, everyone, let's start our discussions by answering the first questions, which is questions A. So here's the questions A. What is the position of discourse analysis in the theory of linguistics? Well, as per its historical record, discourse analysis or discourse studies has been linked with various disciplines of studies, both in humanities and social sciences, including linguistics. So it's better to know the development of the theory of linguistics first, so that we can get its link to the positions of discourse analysis in the theory of linguistics. So as of today, it is broadly known that the theory of linguistics has been separated into 3 different stages of development. First is what we call traditional grammar theory. Grammar. Second is structuralism. And the third is functionalism. Alright everyone, so I'm gonna explain these theories one by one, and let's start it with the traditional grammar. So the development of traditional grammar can be traced back over several centuries ago, around 18th and 19th centuries, and it was developed in Europe, especially in Greek and Rome. So the term traditional grammar itself can also be referred as a school grammar. So according to Smith in 2003, traditional grammar is the study of the sentence structures as well as the formations of words, or in linguistics we call it morphology and sentence or syntax, usually without many reference to its meaning and sounds. So basically here everyone, traditional grammar focus on analyzing a language form without giving any spotlight to its meaning and functions. So this is one of the main shortcomings of traditional grammar, despite of its prescriptive rules and very strict grammar rules that should be followed. I'm gonna write here is focus on language form. Focus on this form. Okay, so this main shortcoming of the traditional grammar has been the dissatisfactions of the linguists. Therefore, it later prompted the inventions of the next theory, which is called structuralism theory. So the development of structuralism theory is closely related to Ferdinand de Saussure. So Ferdinand de Saussure was a prominent Swiss linguist who also considered as the father of modern linguistics and the father of structuralism. So he discovered the theory of structural linguistics in his book entitled General Linguistics, which published in 1916 in French and was written originally in French. So in the book Discourse Analysis for English Language Teachings, Saussure views about the structures of language that a language was formed by a science. So a science, that science which finally produced speech or utterance. So a science itself consists of 2 components, namely signifier and signifier. So in other words, we know that a science is a combination between signifier and signifier to gain its meaning. So the main principle of structuralism theory itself is its focus, or its focus on the spoken language. So it placed the spoken language in the first place. Meanwhile, the written language is placed in the second place. Further, through structuralism theory, the students or learners of language are also required to imitate and learn a chosen language, which is called RP, or received pronunciations, where it consequently the teachers also required to prevent their student from making errors. I'm gonna write here, structuralism is focused on spoken language. And the next theory of linguistics is functionalism. So functionalism was started to develop in the beginning of 1970s. It was proposed by an American linguist, Noam Chomsky, as his reaction to the structuralism theory. So in linguistics, functionalism theory is also known as the approach of the language study that is considered that is considered the functions performed by a language, primarily in the terms of cognitions, expressions, and also connotations. So its main principle of the functionalism theory is its focus to learn the functionality of a language and its elements to be the key to understand the language, the linguistics process and its structures. So it's focused on language functions and its elements. Okay, everyone. So therefore, in Kaharuddin, in his book entitled Discourse Analysis for English Language Teaching, stated that this theory of linguistics, this three theory of linguistics, starting from traditionally grammar, structuralisms, and functionalisms, mutually support each other by giving the opportunity for the emergence of discourse analysis as a theory. So that is the positions of discourse analysis in the theory of linguistics. Well, everyone, let's move to the next questions, which is questions B. So here is the questions B, and the questions B asks us to found differences between discourse analysis and error analysis in terms of their linguistics, background theory, and content of analysis. So here we're gonna find the differences between discourse analysis and error analysis. So as I've explained everyone before in the beginning of this video, that discourse analysis means the studies about the way in which a language is used between people, both in spoken or written context. And in discourse analysis, we not only study about language form, but also its functions and its use in a social context as the way its native speaker use it in their social lives. Meanwhile, the terms errors itself, according to Norris in 1987, is a systematic deviations when learners has learned something but consistently gets it wrong. Meanwhile, according to David Crystal, still the same in the 1987, he argues that error analysis is a technique in identifying, classifying, and systematically interpreting the unacceptable form produced by learners or students who are learning a foreign language using principles and procedures provided by linguistics. So basically here everyone, discourse analysis is focused on learning two components of language, namely form and functions, both in spoken and in written. Meanwhile, error analysis is focused on documenting the errors that made by the students and explained what caused them. Well, everyone, so the next question is about the terms that usually appears and used in discourse analysis. Well, when we study new materials, we oftenly be faced by several new terms or specific terms related to the material that we are learning, and it is better for us to get to know the definitions of the terms that usually used in discourse analysis. So here there are several terms. There are 6 terms: discourse analysis, exchange, move, communicative competence, language forms, and language functions, and also discourse patterns. So let us define the first term, which is discourse analysis. So discourse analysis or discourse study refers to the studies about the way a language is used between people, both in spoken and written context. So in discourse analysis or discourse studies, we're not only going to learn about language forms, which includes language form, but we are also going to learn about language functions as well. So discourse analysis is also called the analysis of language beyond sentence, because in discourse analysis we are not gonna analyze the linguistic features of a language, grammar, vocabulary, clause, and sentence. But discourse analysis field is broader and more complex than that. So that's why it's called the analysis of language beyond sentence, because we are also learn its meaning, its functions, as well as cultural factors of different written texts and any types of talks. Well, everyone, let's move to the second terms, which is exchange. So in general terms, exchange can be defined as the as an act of giving something or receiving another or something. But in discourse analysis, the terms exchange can be defined as a sequence of discourse moves by at least 2 speakers that form a topical or subtopical units. Okay, everyone. So the unit that has been formed according to Sinclair and Coulthard is then called exchange, where an exchange in discourse analysis consists of 3 elements, which are initiations, symbolizes with I, response, symbolizes with R, and then F, feedback, symbolizes as F. Next is the term moves. So each part of exchange is still from Sinclair and Coulthard. They argued that each part of exchange is called moves. So in every exchange there is several moves, started from the first move, which is functions as a questions, the second move, which is functions as a response, and the third move, which is functions as a comment. Next is communicative competence. So the definition of communicative competence in linguistics refers to the ability of a person or a students to communicate or to function a language in a communicative settings, or in other words, to use grammatical sentence in a language, or in the appropriate context at the right time and the right place. So basically, here everyone, the communicative competence consists of two competence, which are grammatical competence and also cultural competence. Next, we move to the terms language form and language functions. Language forms deal with the internal grammar structures of words and phrases, as well as the formation of the words themselves. And meanwhile, it's including linguistic features and also grammar and vocabulary. Meanwhile, language functions reverse in what students use a language as they engage with content and interact to each other. So the term functions here reverse. The term functions here represent the use of language. So the use of language in a specific purpose. And the last one is discourse patterns. So discourse patterns can be defined as the arrangements as the logical arrangements of the idea of expositionary written text or of an orally presentations, and both spoken and written discourse have their own patterns. For example, spoken discourse, there is a patterns IRF, initiations, response, and feedback, which found in the speaking as transactionals or conversations. Usually, we could find that patterns in the classroom conversations and casual conversations. Meanwhile, in written discourse, there are also several patterns, which are cohesive and coherence devices, sentence patterns, and also text patterns. Okay, everyone, let's move to the fourth questions of our discussions today. So here's the questions which are about the scopes of spoken discourse in discourse analysis. Well, discourse is a unit of a language above sentence levels, which is used to communicate in a social life or in a social context. So discourse itself can be separated into two different types, namely spoken discourse and written discourse. Spoken discourse refers to a type of discourse that is realized orally. Meanwhile, written discourse refers to a type of discourse that is realized in writing. So here, talking about spoken discourse, there are several types of it, namely. So I'm gonna write this. Spoken discourse. There are three types of spoken discourse, namely speaking as interaction, speaking as transaction, and the last one is speaking as performance. Speaking as transactions is a type of spoken discourse. discourse that is usually found in our real social lives in terms of interpersonal conversations or dialect. Speaking as interaction itself can be divided into two types, namely classroom conversation and casual conversation. Classroom conversations itself refers to a conversations or a dialogue that happens in the classroom, usually between teachers and their students during a learning and teaching process. While casual conversation refers to a day-to-day dialogue or conversation that it usually happens in our daily life. Casual conversations usually performed by at least two people who are talking about a specific topic or a particular topic that later created a sequence of discourse. Next is speaking as transactions. Speaking as transaction, according to Kaharuddin in 2018, is aimed to describe the functions of the spoken language for transacting messages or informations in social life. That's why it's called transactions. So speaking as transaction itself, including discussion and debate. Well, we move to the last one of the spoken discourse, which is speaking as performance. Speaking as performance, according to Richard in 2008, he stated that speaking as a performance of speaking is a type of spoken discourse that is aimed at transmitting messages or information in front of an audience, on the audience, and it's usually in a form of monologue rather than a dialogue, which usually its speaker oftenly use formality in which is closer to a written language rather than to interpersonal spoken language. So this speaking as informations can be divided into two types, namely a speech and presentation. Okay, everyone, so next we're gonna move to the fifth questions of our discussion for today's sessions. So right here, as you can see, there is a dialogue between two people. So in the form of a casual dialogue, the dialogue between James and his friends, probably man, who asked for her apologize about something terrible that he has been said last night to her. So here's the dialogue. James, I really want to apologize to you. What for? I'm really sorry about what I said to you the other night. Oh, forget it. I can't. It was terrible to say. Okay, enough is enough. I accept your apologies. So here, everyone, we're going to analyze this casual conversations, this dialogue, to find its discourse sequence, its move, functions, as well as its internal structures of this dialogue. So, but before that, I would like to mention the aim of studying the casual conversations, especially in language pedagogy, is to get to know how casual conversations work in a casual situation and how it is used in the social lives. Actually, in 1985, Coulthard did an analysis on casual conversations like this, and he found that there is a similar pattern that is also used in the classroom conversations, but also found in the casual conversations, but it has a little bit difference between them as well. So the pattern that Coulthard found in his analysis on casual conversations is So here is the pattern that Coulthard found on his analysis on casual conversations. And we are going to analyze this dialogue to find its discourse sequence, moves, function, as well as internal structure. But before that, I would like to tell you that we're gonna use a signs, a slash right here to mark every discourse sequence that we have in this dialogue, so that it can make us easier to analyze and to identify its sequence, and also its internal structure. So I'm gonna mark every sequence with a slash. Three, 4, 5, 6. So there are six. There are six sequences in this dialogue. Okay, let's start it by analyzing the first dialogue that has been uttered by the first speaker right here. James, I really want to apologize to you. In discourse analysis, it's on spoken discourse, it is categorized as initiation. So it's labeled as I, where it functions as a statement. So it's also used as function as its first move. Okay, everyone. Later, this statement is responded by the speaker's interlocutors with James by answering or by asking, "What for?" So we write a response. But everyone, according to Coulthard, this kind of response is not really a response, because it's not really represents the answer of the statement or the initiations in the previous sentence. So that's therefore we write here response /I, which means that this response contains of the second initiations. So here is the functions to questions. And then these questions elicit the second or/I, the second response, and the third initiations, which also functions as a statement. And then its latter again elicits other response and the fourth initiations, which is functions as a command in responding the previous statements uttered by the first speakers. And then this command later be responded by the next speakers by saying, "I can't. It was terrible to say." So it functions as a rejection to the comment that had been said. Here we were gonna write it or in the form of rejections. And finally, everyone, this response in the form of rejections finally elicit an utterance from the speaker's interlocutors by saying, okay, enough is enough. I accept your apologize, which is called follow up, or we could symbolize it as F in the form of responding the rejection, or in the form of confirmations to function to respond the previous rejection. Like confirmations. So we found that From this analysis, the pattern used from this dialect is I or I or I or I or F. In its instrumental structures, we can see it from the slash we have made that we found that its instrumental structure from this dialect is W, W, W. So here is the answers for the questions A. Well, everyone, let's move to the next questions. Here is the questions which are about the definitions of these terms in discourse analysis, especially in a written discourse. So as you can see here, there is the terms micro and macro analysis, cohesion and coherence, grammatical cohesive devices, and lexical cohesions. So microanalysis deals with the linguistics elements, deal with linguistics elements of a text, such as verb, prepositions, pronouns, sentences, etc. So it focuses on vocabulary and grammar, including cohesive relations and as well as grammatical regulations of a text. Next is macroanalysis. Meanwhile, macroanalysis, according to Fundix frameworks in 1980, refers to as a global meaning of a text. So macroanalysis indicates the theme and the topic of a text. Next term is cohesion and coherence. According to Kaharuddin in 2018, coherence refers to the way a text is tied together by linguistic devices such as vocabulary and grammar to set up well constructed relations of meaning within the text. So while coherence, a text, it's said to have a coherence if its constituent sentences are constructed in an orderly fashion, so that the readers can make a sense of entire text. Therefore, it is said that if a text has a high cohesions, then it will determine a text coherence for a reader. Next term is grammatical cohesive devices. So grammatical cohesive devices can be defined as devices used to create a coherence in a text. So in written discourse, grammatical cohesive devices itself can be separated into 4 types, namely reference, substitution, ellipsis, and the last one is conjunctions. Next terms, or the last terms, is lexical cohesions. So lexical cohesions itself refers to vocabulary used to make a coherence in a text. In written discourse, lexical cohesions can be separated into 2 different types, namely reiterations and also collocation. Okay, everyone, so let's move to the next questions, which is question G, and it asks about how to analyze text patterns in discourse analysis. Well, according to Hui in 2001, there are 3 major types of text patterns that usually used in writing in English, in writing a text in English. Those patterns are like this. I'm gonna make it like this. Those patterns are: first, school problem solution pattern. Second is called general to specific pattern, and the last one is claim counter claim pattern. So problem solutions patterns is, according to Hui, is the most common type of text patterns found in text in English, whether in fairy tales or scientific writings. According to Hui, problem solution patterns has 4 elements, which are situation, problem, reason, and evaluations. So each of these text patterns also has its own elements. Let's move to the general specific patterns. So general specific patterns, also called as the deductive organizations patterns, which refer to the way a writer developing a text by moving from a broad information to the more specific information that supports the topic of a text. So general specific patterns, according to McCarthy, also has several elements, which are general, specific, more specific, and it gets back to general. The last one is claim counterclaim pattern. So claim counterclaim patterns is a type of text patterns which refers to the structures of ideas in which a claim or a statement about something and the counterclaim, the opposite statement of a claim, presented in relations to give issue in a text. So according to Kimberly in 2016, claim counterclaim patterns consist of 4 elements, which are claim, counterclaim, reason, and evidence. Okay, everyone. So right here, I'm going to explain how we analyze text patterns in discourse analysis. So as you can see here, there is a sentence which consists of, there is a text which consists of 4 sentences. We are going to analyze this text by found what kind of elements that its sentence use in developing these texts. So as you can see here, everyone, in the first sentence, most people like to take a camera with them when they travel abroad. This sentence is called situations, which refers to a specific conditions or events. Next is the second sentence. But all airports nowadays have extra security screenings and X-rays can damage films. This sentence is called a problem that occurs due to these situations. And the third sentence, one solution to this problem is to purchase lead line punch. Is called reasons which offer a solution to the problem given. And the fourth and the last sentence here is these are cheap and can protect film from all but the strongest X-ray. Well, the strongest X-ray, it's called evaluations, which aim to evaluate the solutions or the reason given in the previous sentence, whether the reason is positive or negative. So everyone, we know that this text using problem, solution, pattern, which consists of 4 elements, namely situation, or we symbolize this as problem, we symbolize this as P, and then reason, we symbolize this as R, and evaluations. Symbolize this as E. These elements of problem solution patterns also carries its own functions. Situations is aimed to give background information of the text. Problem is to raise a particular problem that occurs due to the situations. Reasons is to give it usually contains a solutions which related to the problem, and evaluations is usually deals with whether the problem of the text is positive or negative. So it's to evaluate the solution which offer from the problem. Okay everyone, let's move to the next questions, the 8 questions from our discussions today. So right here I'm going to explain about how to analyze sentence patterns in discourse analysis. So a text consists of several sentences where each sentence can be split to several components. Those components consist of a theme and a rhyme. So theme here refers to the already known informations, meanwhile the rhyme refers to new information. So for example, there is a sentence like Jakarta is the capital city of Indonesia. Jakarta here, the word Jakarta here is the theme of this sentence. Despite being the subject of this sentence, it's also become the topic of the talk of the sentence, which later described or followed by a rhyme, which is the clause of the capital city of Indonesia. So the capital city of Indonesia, it could be a new information. Jakarta is the capital city of Indonesia. It could be the new information for some people. That's why it's called a rhyme, because it's also explain the topic of the sentence, which is Jakarta. Okay everyone, so in discourse analysis itself, sentence patterns in English and usually used in writing discourse can be separated into 7 types, namely first, sentence patterns is called simple linear progression. So simple linear progression started with the first sentence of simple linear progression sentence is usually started with a theme, and it's later followed by rhyme, where a unit of rhyme in the first clause is later become the theme of the following sentence. It's also called whether that's why it's also called zigzag progressions. Second, it's called constant progressions. So in constant progressions, everyone, the theme, the unit, an item in the theme of the first clause also become the second theme for the following clause. Next is called multiple rim progression. So in multiple rim progressions, it's the first sentence also consists of a theme and later explained by a rim, where a rim usually consists of several components, usually 2 or 3 components. That's why it's called multiple. And the fourth is called splitting progression. Splitting progressions, the sentence also started with a rim and with a theme, and it's later explained by a rim, where a rim of the clause usually consists of several unspecified components. Okay, next is linear constant progression. In linear constant progressions, a sentence also consists of a rim and a theme, where a unit of a rim in the first clause becomes a theme in the second clause, and it's later explained by the second rim, and so on. And next is constant linear progression. Constant linear progressions, its first sentence also consists or developed by a rim and a theme, where the theme in the first clause also becomes a theme in the second sentence. But when writers write the third sentence, he takes a unit of a rim in the second sentence to be the theme in his third sentence. Next is elliptical. So elliptical progression, everyone, refers to the use of the elliptic elements by using two-ended arrows, which used to find the elliptic connecting relationship between the first themes used in the first sentence and the second ones. Okay, everyone. So right here, I'm gonna explain to you all how to analyze the sentence patterns in a text. So right here, as you can see, there is a text which consists of 3 sentences. Each sentence carries its own theme and also rim. So let's take a look to the sentence pattern that it's used to develop this text. So here's in the first sentence, the diverse battle has already begun for Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. The diverse battles here is the first theme of the first sentence. And while the following clause that explain these themes has already begun for Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie is called the first rim, or we could symbolize this as R1. Later, the units of rim in the first sentence, rhyme 1, is used as the theme for the second sentence. The 41-year-old actress. The 41-year-old artist here refers to Angelina Jolie, which is one of the unit of the rhyme in sentence 1. And next, it is followed by the second rhyme, has reportedly added 2 more top-notch lawyers to her teams. This is called rhyme 2, or rhyme for the second sentence. And then, again, the unit of the rhymes in sentence 2, the second sentence, is later becomes the theme for the third sentence. That units are lawyers, top-notch lawyers, which refers to Laura Wessers, which becomes the third theme of the third sentence. Next, it's later be explained by the third rhyme of the third sentence, which is a celebrity lawyer is joining to fight Brad 54 everything she wants from their speech. So Laura Wessers is a celebrity divorce lawyer. So everyone, from this analysis, we found that this text using text patterns, simple linear progressions, which can be written like this: T1, whereas rhyme 1 become the second theme of the second sentence, which followed by the second rhyme, and then rhyme 2 become the third theme of the third sentence, which later followed by rhyme 3. So that's why simple linear progressions is also called zigzag progressions. Well everyone, let's move to the next questions. Here's the questions. What factors to consider in selecting targeted discourse to be analyzed? There are actually several factors that should be considered in selecting targeted discourse, either in spoken or written discourse, especially in the purpose of teachings. Those factors, namely, so the first is called the suitability of the materials to learners' needs. So learners' needs here refers to what learners want to learn and hope to achieve. So if the materials of learning is appropriate to the learners' needs, it can be easier to grab their attention, so that the objective of the learnings can be easier to achieve. The second considerations is called the authenticity of the selected material. So, talking about the selected material that we can use in learning discourse analysis, there are actually so many authentic materials that surrounds us in our daily lives, such as newspapers, magazines, TV series, films, advertisements, etc. So by learning the authentic materials, discourse analysis can help to shape the students' language look, and to help them to sound more naturally, so that the students can use a language more effectively, and to help them to sound more naturally, like the way the native speakers use it in their daily life. Well, everyone, let's move to the last questions for our discussions today. So the questions is also about the significant contributions and English language of discourse analysis in English language dictionary. So this is asked for personal opinion. So after I learned discourse analysis so far, I'm gonna answer it by saying yes, of course. Discourse analysis has a very significant contribution in English language pedagogy, as we know that discourse is not only focused on learning language form, but also expansion as well as the cultural factors from different written text and types of talks, where the contributions of discourse analysis in English language pedagogy, it can be seen from the applications of discourse analysis on language pedagogy itself. So discourse analysis can be applied in English language pedagogy into two methods. First method, two models of teaching, namely to teach the application of discourse analysis to teaching grammar. So the application of discourse analysis to teaching, the first contribution of discourse analysis is English language teaching and learning. It can be used to teach grammar. So by studying discourse analysis in teaching grammar, teachers are also required not only to teach students the rules of grammar and how to form a sentence, a specific sentence, but they also required to explain the characteristics, the discourse characteristics in those grammar rules, and the purpose of the and the functions of the form, so that the students can able to use the grammatical rules to communicate. Next is called the applications of discourse analysis to teaching vocabulary. So as we know, everyone, that vocabulary is one of the important things that determine the students' proficiency in learning a language. So the more vocabulary someone has, the better English he gets. So by studying discourse analysis, it is hoped that it can enrich a student's vocabulary. Well, everyone, we finally at the end of this video, and we already have answers all the questions from questions A until questions G. Contains of 10 different questions about discourse analysis. However, it is very essential to review a little or some material that we have learned. So discourse analysis or discourse study is the study about the way a language is used between peoples, both in written or spoken context. So it also requires cultural factors of different written text, and as well as any types of talks. So that's why it's also called discourse analysis is also called an analysis of language beyond the sentence, because it studies not only about form of language but also its functions. So the way the language is used in social context. So in book Discourse Analysis for the English language teachings, there are three main reasons in studying discourse analysis which can really benefit us, especially for learners who are learning a foreign language. The first reason is called academic reasons, the second reason is called pragmatical reasons, and the third reason is called pedagogical reasons. So everyone's by studying discourse analysis, it is hoped that students or learners of language can gain what we call a communicative competence. Therefore, I would like to recommend for every language teachers or language students or learners who are now learning especially English as a foreign language, it should be better to start to study discourse analysis, because it consists of the study of language form as well as the language functions, so that we can gain a communicative competence which consists of two main competences that a learner should have in learning a language, namely a grammatical competence as well as the cultural competence. Well, before I end this video, I would like to send my thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His blessing grace. Finally, I could finish this video and hand in on time. And I also would like to thank my parents who work tirelessly to provide everything that I need and I want, especially for my study. I also would like to thank my siblings, my little sisters and little brothers, who could be sometimes annoying, but I still love them, of course. And I would like to send my thanks to my college friends. Thanks for every kind words. Thanks for up and downs during this semester, and I hope that this pandemic will end very soon, and we could meet again and study in our classroom at our university. I also would like to thank and send my deepest gratitude to Sir Dr. Kaharuddin as the lecturer on Discourse Analysis Course for all his support and guidance during this course. This course, and thanks, and also thanks for the books. So this book helps me a lot. I took so many references from it, and I learned so many lessons from it. Okay, I also like to thank you everyone who are watching this video, especially for you all who watch this video until the end. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.